What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again, and today, people, well, it's just kinda sort of a slow news day. So, I thought we'd talk about some promotional art released for Witch Queen on Bungie Day, and do a little bit of theory crafting. So without further ado, let's dive in. The tagline for Witch Queen is Survive the Truth. Savathûn is often considered to be the hive god of lies and deceit, but that's not quite accurate, and it's kind of a minimalization of who Savathûn is. Her charge was to be eternally cunning. Cunning is defined by having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion. Savathûn is the hive god of cunning, not necessarily lies, and cunning is an interesting thing in the Destiny lore. In the lore entry Faith in Bone, from the lore book Inquisition of the Damned, we read, "Further, the daughters hold a secret belief that their forebears have yet to fail the logic's call. Crota and Oryx were both defeated, yes, but not for the first time, and the daughters still have faith that the King of Bone and the Taker of Will, the one and true King of Shapes, would never fall as far as to be lost in eternity. If nothing else, the terror of their deeds, the memory of their conquests, lives on, like nightmares that may be awakened for the weak to truly know fear. In that faith, the daughters have made plans of their own, schemes to rekindle the greatness of their lineage, strategies born beyond the pit. Thus, deep beneath the Hellmouth, the heirs probe strange new possibilities from ancient discoveries, possibilities that will forego the pit to carve new paths and new understandings through which the logic may yet prove their grandfather's authority. However, those who would see their family unseated, those among whom they now stand, would mark their research as an affront. The logic is the logic, they would say. It is known, and it is good. But they lack imagination. The logic is not simply brute force. It is cunning and guile. It is survival. It is victory born of all that makes a king mighty. This, of course, is not the only time that we hear about the possible resurrection of Oryx mentioned in the lore from Shadowkeep. In the collector's edition for Shadowkeep, there was a cryptolith, a puzzle, and once this puzzle was opened, it had a piece of paper with a code on it. The code, once combined with others, led to 5 lore entries that can be viewed on Bungie.net. Hearts, Endure, Dust, Hope, Poison. There are 2 lore entries that I want to talk about at least partially. Endure and Poison, because they give us a better understanding when it comes to the malleability of sword logic and an insight to the Hive's goals. Saith we the Hive, Oryx our king is defeated, in echo and form, in world and in throne. His children are defeated, his tribute cut off. His faithful son is fallen, his prodigal son entrapped and enervated by the will of thousands, who would use him as bait for richer feed. Yet we survive in our tens of billions, so numerous in our thriving mass that we could reach from the moon to the world and back to the moon if we stood upon each other's brows. We live on by the law that we were taught, the devouring of the unfree. The law is manifest in our flesh, which is pared to bone by the knife of need and challenge. And we in our thousands of billions do possess a will. Let us test the testament of our king who is Oryx. Let us challenge his legacy as he has challenged us. For there is no surer tribute to the dead than to kill all they left behind. He was not invincible. Thus, we must ask after the necessity of his legacy and the need to obey his taboo. Was not Ziva Arath beheaded and yet summoned back by Oryx who remembered her as war? Was not Savathûn beheaded and yet conjured back by Oryx who conspired with her cunning? Atta, it must now be so. For if his legacy is true, it will come unto us and defeat our blasphemy. And if it is not, what we attempt cannot be blasphemy, for we have survived him and surpassed over the power of his will. Atta, Atta, Atta. Basically, according to Oryx and the sword logic, it's blasphemy to be resurrected from the dead. But, as the author points out, not only is there an astounding level of hypocrisy here, but if it can be done, that means they have every right to do it. And if it can't be done, then who's going to punish them? This means, for example, if, say, Savathûn turned against the darkness, just as long as she does so within the boundaries of her compact, she can do it. And in our next lore card, Poison, we read, Oryx is dead. To deny this is to drink strong poison. Oryx is dead. His throne waits empty. To accept this is to accept blasphemy into our hearts. Our progenitor and forefather is vanquished, his court shattered, his temples ransacked. The knights, like hot stone, are dead. The beast, like scattered bone, are gone from his side, and his killers have not assumed the mantle of the taken king. How can our mighty king, the spear that pierced 100 million lying lungs, be killed by those who would deny the all-edged truth? Is this the end of progress towards the true and final shape? Is this the Intoxuana, the fate worse than extinction? The triumph over the oldest doubt? The end of our way? Is this the incomprehensible fate, which the needled-fingered one calls the fraying of the cord? No, we are the people of the real. We know the rod which separates the truth from the dead. We know that whatever happens is so because it must be so. We accept that all of this has happened. Let me tell you what has happened. Our king of shapes has triumphed. The one who murdered him, who wielded his killers like a knife. She was once a liar drenched in the sky, but came among us, the children of Oryx, and we cleaned the lies from her. We scoured the confusion and fear from her, and we gave her the clarity of our sight, and she devoted herself to the task of comprehending Oryx, learning and foreseeing him, thinking as he would think, knowing what he would know, becoming his one worthy enemy, and so becoming like him. How could she do anything but challenge him? And how, in challenging him, in seeking a way between his pits and riddles, could she walk any path but the path he made for her? The mark of him is upon her. She will always fear him. She will always feel the wound of him in her mind as we feel his absence. She will seek out all that he valued. She will find all he would want found. And lo, what has she found? What has she found? The liars will come in their thousands and hundreds of thousands and slaughter us in our millions and tens of millions. And we will go rejoicing to our ends. For they are the blade he has appointed to whittle us into our shape, and she is the avatar he has chosen to mantle him. And even now, we sail the course he has plotted. For she has awakened the truth which answers the lies, and his will has delivered the liars to us as his final test. And he is still, and now, and forever, our king. We will ask him to return to us, and when we have pleased him, he will answer. So is that it? Is that the totality of Savathûn's plans? To help in the resurrection of Oryx? To destroy the Traveler? To consume the light? To defeat the Guardians? To do exactly as expected? To be an evil, maniacal, cackling, one-note, keikakudori villain? To be uninteresting? To be a basic bitch? To be exactly as written on the label? Could happen. I mean, after all, a character is only as clever as the writers, so it is possible. As I've stated in other videos, but because every video is somebody's first, if we assume for a moment that Savathûn is currently Osiris and has been Osiris since Season of the Hunt, then we have to look at all the contributions Osiris has made as contributions that Savathûn has made. Osiris helped us stop Xivu Arath in Season of the Hunt, helped us broker a peace treaty between humanity and the Cabal in Season of the Chosen, engineered the Long Night over the city, which forced humanity to seek out an ally with House Light, put us in a position to retrieve and study the Crown of Sorrow, and I believe if Savathûn really is our ally, she was trying to create a scenario by which she could hand us Quoria, because she couldn't just walk up to humanity and be like, here's this Vex mind, study it. No, she had to engineer a situation by which we could capture it. There's also what I would call Savathûn's evolving personality, though that might not be the right way to put it. In the Traveler's Chosen lore card, we read, all we have left now is our faith. I push into my ossific den, and he is there. I see him looking over the side towards his Traveler, head bent. He is speaking softly, but I can hear him. Anyone who was listening could. He waits for a response, and I do as well, tense, curious. He stands attentively, this loyal dog of a man. It is no time at all for me, but for him, the hours creep by in silence. I am ready to choke the voice of his Traveler if it answers him, but there is nothing. He tightens his grip on the railing. I feel something shift inside him. and a new possibility presents itself. Again, I press against the sockets. The net creaks softly with my eagerness. Someone approaches, and he turns his back to his traveler. Their exchange is obscured by the Rubicon thrash. He is given reports. Hope bleeds from him. He gives the messenger a token of his faith. They accept it without understanding its meaning. He watches as they leave. There is a hollow place in his center. It is beautiful. I return warily. I do not see him, but I hear him. He speaks to all with a voice thick with grief. I must learn how far I have been set back. I reach to him, tentatively. Strength. I push and feel only sweet, soft rot. I am delirious with pleasure. Gave them no answers. It was a reflex, the spasm of dumb muscle. A song of joy rises within me. But in Hawkmoon's lore tab we read, "What is this feeling? I did not ask for it. I do not understand it. I do not want it." The crow is so carefree in his ignorance. The bonfire's glow light up his pale features, and I am drawn to the hope in his gold eyes. Where is the despairing child I anticipated? He drinks from an open bottle of wine, against the recommendations of his ghost. The guardian encourages him, and they are laughing. This celebration is maddening. Neither have reason to be so jubilant. Their world is ending, and they thrash like dying creatures in the final light of a collapsing star. They do not seem to acknowledge the futility of their existence, the impermanence of it in the face of cosmic annihilation. Now the guardian is drinking, standing close to the fire. Their ghost, too, encourages them not to partake. They poison themselves for the enjoyment of it. I am reminded of my sisters, of moments spent by lapping shores, gazing up at infinite stars full of possibilities and wonder. I'm left yearning. What is this feeling? I do not understand it. I do not want it. They are celebrating their victory over the Taken. The crow is making a gun shape with his hand, swinging a nearly empty bottle of wine around in the other like a sword. The guardian looks pensive, sitting on a rock by the fire, contemplating the secret they are keeping. The crow notices, but tries not to show it. He wants the guardian's spirits to be lifted. He wants to be supportive, so that they may share their triumphs together as equals. I am reminded of my home. I am reminded of the warmth, the sun, and the embrace of my family. I am reminded of my father's face. I am reminded of everyone I betrayed, all the blood I spilled in the name of immortality. The warmth of the sun burns me with its memory. What is this feeling? I do not want it. Fire has nearly died. The crow fell over and cannot stand, though he insists he's fine. The guardian is turning the embers with the tip of their sword. The ghosts are talking to one another in quiet conspiracy. The celebration has ended, but I can sense their emotions are mixed, complex and midrid things when a simple, singular focus would suffice. There is a growing kinship here against better judgment. What is this feeling? So we've already seen a huge character shift for Savathûn. That said, it is apparently canon that Savathûn is somehow aware of the player. Quote, "Oh, wonderful, curious things. Do you believe you're the only ones with the power to see what should not be seen? Do you believe you can use such power blithely? For your trespass, I would ruin your luck, wreak havoc on your drops, poison your engrams, and fill your lines with static. Thus, I would curse you and dissipate the bond that ties you to your task." How frail you guardians can be. How many millions have fallen silent, never to return because the bond did not hold them strongly enough. But you have already cursed yourselves. You have walked the athematic arc and glimpsed creation from below. You will never forget the tenuous, provisional framework you have found here. You will never forgive the morality and fallibility that underlines a world you thought was everything. Those who use this power to seek unearned knowledge will see more than they ever desired. There is a price for glimpsing the cord. You will pay it. And then there was that one time that Savathûn left us a coded message, which reads, I am Savathûn, ravenous. I have set the snare and baited the trap. Is victory so easy? Hero, I am the finality, the reward. I am the true ending. This is another gift. Your strength is my strength. Your victory is my victory. My jaws are wide and I am waiting. The wait is long, but I am ceaseless. I am Savathûn, fulfilled, delighted, expectant. So how much you can reliably count as being true, more so when the character knows that they're a character, is up to debate. The Destiny world has an interesting relationship with our world lore-wise. From Savathûn's hidden messages, to Rasputin sending a javelin back in time and it ending up in our reality, with a message from Elsie Bray to us, the player. But for the sake of argument, if we take Savathûn's changing character from the Traveler's Chosen lore entry to the Hawkmoon lore entry at face value, then we have a character that may have started as a deceiver, bent on taking Oryx's place, testing herself against humanity, or waiting out the inevitable end of existence, because for the Hive, the end of existence is inevitable. We read this in the Scream.
No! Savathûn, Ziva Arath, my siblings, we are betrayed. We will never live eternal. All might shadows entire species. We inhale the smoke of their burning. This is our compact with the worm our god. The worm makes us mighty. But as we wield this might, our worm's hunger expands. If we fail to feed it, it will devour us from within. We have exterminated 306 worlds, and now I am certain my worm's hunger grows faster than the might I draw from it. We are bound by our covenant to obey our nature, eternal search, eternal cunning, eternal conquest. But as we do this, my siblings, we feed our worms. And the more we feed them, the hungrier they grow. Faster and faster. Soon, my siblings, we will be so mighty and our worms so hungry that not with all our might could we possibly feed them. We will be devoured. What can we do?
In the Hawkmoon lore tab, we see a Savathûn who is nostalgic, longing for the past, before she and the Hive were tricked into becoming what they would become and waging war on existence in the name of the darkness. And she knows, at the end of all things, when the world goes dim and cold or hot and close, or it tears itself apart from the atom up, she will die, provided she doesn't die before then. And this is the ingenious trap of the darkness, of the worm gods. In the Book of the Unveiling, we learn of the Flower Game, of the darkness's philosophy that what exists must exist because it has the right to exist, and anything that cannot sustain its own existence does not deserve to exist. But the light, the gardener, didn't like this. So she changed the rules of existence and forced the darkness and the light to be birthed into it, to be bit players. So the darkness's win condition is the end of all things, so she can return home. By nature, the Hive achieve this, because through their sword logic, they would destroy everything. And then once they've destroyed everything, what's left? What feeds their worms? Nothing. They would be consumed by it, and thus, all of existence would be wiped out. This is an eventuality. It is the perfect plan. Because what is a few billion years to the darkness? Savathûn has realized this inevitability as well, thus would seek to escape, which reminds me of a Marathon quote. We watched while the stars burned out and creation played in reverse, the universe freezing in half light. Once, I thought to escape, to end the Enda Master, step off the path of collapse. Escape would make us God, yet I cannot help remember one enigma, a hybrid, elusive destroyer. This is the only mystery I have not solved, the only element unaccounted for. Even Savathûn is no more. He saved his entire race, and in the end, frozen by despair, he joined the chaos he sought to evade. But you were dead 1,000 times. Hopeless encounters successfully won. A man long dead grafted to machines your builders did not understand. You followed the path, fitting into infinite pattern, yours to manipulate, to destroy, and rebuild. Now in the quantum moment before closure, when all becomes one moment left, one point of space and time, I know who you are. You are destiny. And while this is a quote from Marathon, we see direct phrasing lifted from it and used throughout Destiny's lore, more specifically when it pertains to Rasputin, in both Ghost Mysteries 1 and Ghost Fragment Rasputin 4. I've done a video on this before, and I'll put a link somewhere, so it's not like Bungie writers have forgotten about this, or at least aren't thinking about it or trying to recreate it. And honestly, if you take that quote from Marathon and you just replace a couple of words or rephrase some things, it fits with Destiny. We watched while the stars burned out and creation played in reverse, the universe freezing in half-light. Once, I thought to escape, to end the end a master, step off the path of collapse. Escape would make us God, yet I can't help remember one enigma, a hybrid, elusive destroyer. This is the only mystery I've not solved, the only element unaccounted for. Even Mithrax is no more. He saved his entire race, but in the end, frozen by despair, he joined the chaos he sought to evade. But you were dead 1,000 times. Hopeless encounters successfully won. A man long dead, alive again, your body's grafted to powers you do not understand. You follow the path, fitting into an infinite pattern. Yours to manipulate, to destroy, and rebuild. Now in the quantum moment before the closure, when all becomes one moment left, one point in space and time, I know who you are. You are Destiny. Which I think is a fair roadmap for the future of Destiny. So if Savathûn realizes that getting in our way is pointless and she will die like everybody else, she may seek to end the game on the winning side, which is why I see her being our ally against the Darkness and Witch Queen, which doesn't go against the nature of her worm. If her goal is to defeat the Darkness, then just as long as she uses cunning to do so, she has not betrayed the nature of her sword logic or worm. Because as we discussed earlier, it's not blasphemy to do something that the sword logic tells you not to do. It's only blasphemy if you're wrong. If you're right, and it works, then you have every right to do it. So if Savathûn is not our enemy in Witch Queen, who is? Well, I think that's where the promotional art comes in. This is not the symbol that stands for Savathûn. It's kinda close, but not quite. And these hive runes represent the being that they're portraying. So if this rune doesn't stand for Savathûn, who does it stand for? Well, as many people have pointed out, the rune does superimpose nicely over the veiled statue. So it could be the hive rune for whatever the veiled are. It could also be the rune for Xivu Arath. Makes sense. Both Savathûn and Xivu Arath have a presence in the Dreaming City. And if we assume that Savathûn is really Osiris, then Savathûn helped us defeat Xivu Arath's plans during Season of the Hunt. So there may be a bit of civil war going on between the two sisters. My prediction is we go to Old Chicago, get the New Darkness subclass from Savathûn, and the plot of the game will revolve around stopping Xivu Arath, which puts us on the road to Lightfall. The other interesting possibility is that this is the rune that describes Eris Morn. After all, what did the Hive say about Eris? Our King of Shapes has triumphed, the one who murdered him, who wielded his killers like a knife. She was once a lyre drenched in the sky, but came among us, the children of Oryx, and we cleaned the lies from her. We scoured the confusion and fear from her. And we gave her the clarity of our sight, and she devoted herself to the task of comprehending Oryx, learning and foreseeing him, thinking as he would think, knowing what he would know, becoming his one worthy enemy, and so becoming like him. How could she do anything but challenge him? And how, in challenging him, in seeking a way between his pits and riddles, could she walk any path but the path he made for her. The mark of him is upon her. She will always fear him. She will always feel the wound of him in her mind as we feel his absence. She will seek out all that he valued. She will find all he would want found. And lo, what has she found? What has she found? But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. But above all else, stay frosty.